Hi, my name is Kelsey, and how are you? I don't know what to say. How are you? I hope y'all having a good day, a good week. I would like to share my Hurricane Katrina story. So my Katrina story. Honestly, I don't do story times just because I'm not good at telling stories. I'm not good at like explaining stories, as I say always. But yeah, I'm gonna try to make it short as possible. And honestly, I'm not saying that I don't have a Katrina story, but it's just my Katrina story from a kid's point of view because I was a kid when Katrina happened. So I am 27 now, and I was 7 when um, Katrina hit. So I am from New Orleans. Did I grow up in New Orleans? Not really. Not really. I always visit and everything. I have family. I have a lot of family there. On my mom's side, that's where my family is from. Everybody pretty much moved back except for some of us didn't move back, including me. But yeah, I want to go ahead and try to get into the story and just tell or just explain or say what I remember from a kid's point of view. So, um, yeah, let's uh let's get into it. What I remember at 7 years old, in I'm in the living room. The TV is on. We're in the living room. I'm in the living room. I'm on the couch, just watching everybody going haywire, everybody going crazy, trying to figure out what to do. The news is on, and he's explaining the weather or explaining the hurricane or how big it's going to be and this and that. It changed my life. It changed everyone's life that lived in New Orleans and was from New Orleans. um i knew that it was very I knew that it wasn't good, but me knowing the depths of how bad it was, like I wasn't a teenager or I wasn't like a grown up, um feeling like the extreme effects of how much it affect um how much it affect our lives that night. I knew that we ended up going, everyone including my dad ended up going, not everyone, because it's like my mom didn't have my little sister. She was with her dad. So in the end, is not in the end, but like later down the line, it's like, dang, they don't know where she didn't know where my sister was. And I don't know. I just never really asked my mom, like, I just, I never asked her questions per se to how I didn't ask her the questions because I didn't ask her questions about how about it or how much it affected her or um what would happen down to the T. But I can only say what I remember. And but yeah, we couldn't even they couldn't she couldn't find my sister at the moment, but she knew that she was with her dad. She was safe. I ain't gonna say she knew she was like safe, but when somebody is with somebody, okay, they got their best interest on like protecting them. So that night we went. It was my mom, my dad, me, and I'm pretty sure it was other people. Um, yeah, we went to this building. We went to like a building that was like super tall, and like one of the rooms it was empty. So we was in an empty building, an empty room in a building, maybe down the street, because of like the storm and everything, and the lights was off, and I'm looking out the window seeing how bad it is, like it's raining and it's storming. So um that, I want to say that morning or that the next day or whatever, um I guess my mom friend or someone she knew, uh yeah, someone, I want to say someone she knew, or I don't want to say, I don't think it was someone my dad knew, but from my knowledge, someone that my mom knew or a friend of a friend, um we all getting in the car, and um my dad, he couldn't fit, so he had to stay behind, which was very just like, you know. But yeah, he had to stay behind. So with that part, my dad ended up being in New Orleans for a longer time, and he had to walk and deal with the effects of the everything, water, and then him having diabetes, dealing with that and not having his shots for amount of days or whatever. Um, but yeah, so at this point, I'm with my mom and whoever she knows, and I think it's kids in the car too. Uh, so they're driving, and I don't know where we went, but we getting somewhere. But I'm thinking it was going towards. I want to say it was going towards Alabama, but the first destination, the first stop was, I think this first stop, it was with, oh, it was, I think, okay, the first stop, I think we was like in a hotel or motel. Yeah, after that, I think we got dropped off somewhere. I think they drove some more, or yeah, drove some more, and then got dropped off. Uh, got dropped off at a older person house, and me and my mom end up sleeping in a room, one of their rooms or whatever, and the TV is on, and like we watching the effects of like the storm and stuff and how bad it's getting, and I'm in the bed with my mom, and this was like the first time I seen my mom cry. um yeah, this was the first time seeing my mom cry, of like, our city is being torn apart. um People are dying. We don't know what's going on with other family members, or if they're okay. So yeah, it was very sad. It was very, very chaotic. But yeah, I think I did a story on Hurricane Katrina, but it's like I'm not very good at the storytelling. So I kind of just end up deleting it because it's like, oh, I don't like the way that I told the story, or and it's not really like, from my perspective as a kid, it's not really much that I seen. I just only seen a little portion of what happened, and but I definitely remember it had a big effect on my life that I didn't even realize it was going to have, because I'm a kid. I know that it's bad, but I don't know that it's bad. um if you picking up what I'm putting down. Ooh, let me fix this nose ring. So after that, we end up going to, it's like I just remember being from house to house. Our next destination, we end up being with another older person, I believe. Uh, and it was another little girl my age, I believe. And I remember her having a room, and she had a lot of shit. It was a lot of girl stuff, a lot of clothes, shoes, and this and that. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, and like me and her was playing. It's from my knowledge, from what I remember. But I'm gonna have to ask my mom, like, do you remember this? Do you remember that? Because if this lady says she don't remember that or that never happened, am I going crazy? I was in her room, and she was showing me all her things and stuff like that. And uh yeah, that was that on that. And then my last destination, uh my last destination was Alabama. Now, Alabama is where my dad is from. His family is from. Um, where his family is from, and I end up getting dropped off, or yeah, I end up getting dropped off by my grandmother, and where my auntie and my uncle and them was at, and yeah, that's what I really remember. That's what I remember. Oh, I hope that my mic didn't. I hope my mic didn't go out. I'm gonna be upset. And I'm not gonna want to tell the story again. Maybe if I tell the story again, I'm pretty sure I hope that it's better. But yeah, my last destination was me being by my grandmother's house in Alabama, and my mom ended up leaving again. And I think her next destination, which was Houston, and this is where I'm at now. I'm in Texas. So she never left Texas. And my dad eventually ended up making his way to Alabama. How or who he rode with, I want to say, it could have been my uncle, because my uncle lived down in New Orleans as well. But I don't know. I cannot remember. Did I ask questions? I may have asked a lot of questions, but do I remember? Not really. Um, but yeah, my dad ended up being in Alabama, and for a while I ain't gonna say for a very, very long time, I didn't get enrolled in school, but it took a little minute for me to get enrolled in school because of everything that was going on. I had got a bunch of donations, or like from like everywhere, as far as like my auntie's job and her friends, and they just knew our situation. And because I didn't have anything at all, no clothes, no, we just really picked up and left. I brought my body to brought my body to Alabama. And that's how I end up really growing up in Alabama, because of Hurricane Katrina. uh but yeah, I end up getting a lot of clothes, a lot of pink stuff, a lot of, it was just like, it was, yeah, it was a lot. Me being in a new environment, as far as getting enrolled in school and being around a different set of kids, like that's not from New Orleans, and the way I talked was very different at the time. And I would get picked on just a little bit, um of like my accent and just little bitty stuff. But hopefully I'm not missing too much. Really wasn't like a very big story on my end because of me being a kid. Um dealing with leaving New Orleans because of Katrina. I didn't really have to, like, I didn't stay long because it was just a lot going on. Everything was just moving in fast pace of like, we got to get here, we got to get there, we got to get out, we got to get out. And um what else happened? What else that I can remember? I would say, yeah, they end up finding my sister. Mom ended up getting my sister back. Um, but yeah, my mom, my mom's side of the family, they all went to Houston, and for a while, for years, they stayed in Houston. Me, per se, I stayed in Alabama, which I was a little salty about that because it's like the people I grew up with, it was on my mom's side. I never like grew up with anyone on my dad's side. So it's like me being in Alabama, I'm not around no kids unless I'm at school. So it's like I'm the only kid. So, but me, when I like, all I knew was me growing up around my mom's side of the family. So it's like a homesick thing, and I yeah, it's like a homesick thing. So it's me living with my dad, and um I used to ask him during that time frame of like Hurricane Katrina and stuff. I would ask him, "Oh, are we going back to New Orleans?" And he would say maybe not for a while, but yeah, we are. And then like I would, later down the line ask again, and he would, you know, say not yet, or it wouldn't be like a real answer. It wouldn't be like a definite like answer for real. It would be like not for a while or something like that around that line. And also, yeah, we end up not going back. I did. I stopped asking, but I think the reason why I stopped asking because I did ask that last time, and he was saying, no, we're not going back. And that's when I just stopped asking. I just was, I, yeah. So, yeah, from my perspective, I was a bit homesick I just wanted things to go back to what it was. I wanted to be back at home. I wanted to be surrounded with the family that I knew. And this time I was around family that I really didn't know. I will always visit, like I would visit, I ain't gonna say always, but I would visit Alabama. Um, like my dad would take me to Alabama to visit my grandmother, them, and I know them like that off of a visit, but I didn't know them off of living there. And that was my time with having to just getting to know them, and basically them being my extra parents. Yeah, being my extra parents, them being my extra guardians and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, hopefully I'm not really missing much, but it wasn't really much to my story. Um, it just was more of like, this is what I remember. And yeah, maybe one day, I ain't gonna say one day, I'm definitely gonna ask my mom, but if I do get the chance to just like, interview my mom on her story and her perspective, I will. But this is my perspective on what I went through as a kid, or how I end up not being in New Orleans, even though I'm from New Orleans. And honestly, I've always thought about it every once in a while of like, dang, if Hurricane Katrina didn't happen, how would my life be? I know that my life would be very different. I would be a different person, a different lifestyle. Like, I don't know who I would be. Like, a different personality, just a different characteristic, basically. Like, I would be a different person because I would honestly, 9 times out of 10, have still been in New Orleans from what I think. Like, I would have still been in New Orleans. I would definitely have the accent, baby. I would have had the accent. And I don't know. But I do think about it every once in a while. Like, dang, if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be the person who I am now. And yeah, I don't know. How do I feel about that? I don't know. I just feel like, damn, my life changed. I didn't get that. I didn't get the experience of living in my hometown. I just didn't get, like, I don't know how to explain it. My thoughts on it is very much like I don't know. It's like, damn. I I'm curious as to what my life would have been, but also I am grateful that I was able to still be here and to make it out and to be able to grow up. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just try to end this video right here. I hope that I wasn't all over the place, or I hope that I was able to explain my point of view good, I would say. Um, so yeah, I hope you guys have a good day and peace.